probably wondering, what are the best alternative investment funds, which is the question I get asked all the time. I'm going to cover that in the video, including what my favorite one is as well. So tune in right now. Okay, so what are the best alternative investment funds? There's a wide array. So I want to talk about one is really, what are they? What are alternative investments? And then two, what are the best ones? And especially as a bonus, I want to talk to you about how to know which ones might be best for you. And it may not be the best returning ones. But I will share for the end though, my favorite one that I have. You should definitely check this out. Before we address what are the best alternative investments, what is an alternative investment? For the most part, I'll give you my simple dumbified answer here, which that's a real word. I made it up because it's got to be real. That dumbified answer is this, that alternative investment is anything outside of Wall Street's investments. Anything else you can do, which many people even call Main Street investing. This could be things in real estate. It could be in commodities like oil. It could be even gold and silver, right? It could be things like that. It could actually be things like digital currency is considered an alternative investment. All these things, anything outside of the typical stocks, bonds, mutual funds, the same old boring vanilla crap you always hear about, that's an alternative investment. Now, for the most part, people are never taught this is even an option. Why? Because financial advisors don't want you to know about it. They do not get paid when you put your money away from what they can offer. Most financial advisors are paid based on the assets you give them, the assets under management, AUM is what they call it, right? They're paid off that. Well, if you take your money out to go in these alternative investment funds, they now lose money. They're not getting paid every year, whether you make money or not, in those cruddy little mutual funds or stocks that they pick for you. The truth is, like, they're just guessing. They're literally guessing. They're like blind people trying to figure out what's going to happen in the future, and they just don't know. But alternative investments can give you a much broader array and even better diversification than you'll ever get in your 401ks and IRAs or even with your financial advisor. Because here's why. There's 4 asset classes you should remember. There's business. So for example, Warren Buffett, heralded as the greatest investor of all time, buys businesses. He does not invest in stocks. Yes, just recently, I've been loving it, right? Because I actually predicted it, but I said recently he sold half of his Apple stock. Why? Because Buffett doesn't want to be in the stocks anymore. He's trying to pull it out. But understand that it wasn't just the stocks that he sold. He had a majority share ownership in that business. He could actually help make decisions. He wasn't the number one owner, but he was a partner in that sense. He had enough ownership in that business. He owns and invests in businesses where he has controlling interest. That's not you. When you buy your Apple stock, Tim Cook does not give a crap about you. He doesn't care about your opinion and what you should do. He listens to Buffett, not to you. Buffett buys businesses, so that's number one. Number 2 is real estate. Real estate's another one. And I mean the real stuff, not the REITs that your financial advisor offers, real estate, right? 3 are commodities, gold, silver, oil, corn, soybeans, I don't care, whatever it might be, that's commodities. And then 4 is paper assets. Paper assets are the things only that financial advisors offer. They just always offer you the stocks, the bonds, options, mutual funds, even savings and T-bills and all that kind of stuff you hear about, right? Even whole life insurance with infinite banking is a paper asset. It's okay to have paper assets, but what's not okay, in my opinion, is having all of your money in paper assets. If you find that all of your money is in between savings, stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, and all that kind of stuff, you're not diversified. You're actually at the whims of the markets. You're just in one little asset class. So the alternative investments allow you to diversify among all of these. For example, one asset class in the business category is there's actually a group that we refer our clients to that they can connect with. We don't ever give investment advice. That's one thing. We're not investment advisors. We have a group that we know that actually has been very trustworthy and consistently paying people returns. They'll actually invest in car wash businesses. So these car wash businesses, you are an owner, a part owner in these businesses. You don't have to own the whole thing. You pool your money with other investors, but you guys go in and then you get paid the profits off that investment. That's an alternative investment. And sometimes you can even get a little bit of tax benefits depending on how it's structured with business write-offs and things like that. Because if it's a business, you can get business write-offs, right? So that's an example of a business. Real estate. What about real estate? Well, real estate, there's a lot of things that we talk about doing. We love having assets backed by real estate, if that makes sense. We like real estate for that reason, because you actually have some protection against downside risk, protection against losses, because there's an asset that should back it up. So for example, it could be a rental property, but it could also be something like having ownership in an apartment unit. It could be ownership in self-storage units. By the way, when you go into a recession, when people start downsizing, guess where they put their junk? into the storage unit that you get paid on and make more money off of. So you might as well profit off people's junk, right? What is it? The Grinch said, one man's treasure is another, one man's garbage is another man's treasure, right? Or no, another man's potpourri, whatever it is, right? That's the thing. Those people's junk could be your profit, right? So you have things like self-storage. You got things that even in the space of like raw land. I actually have a raw land partnership. It's like business and real estate combined. I have a raw land partnership that with the money that I've put in, even with paying for the payroll and the other expenses, which I get a write-off for on my taxes, but in addition to that, the money I have going into it is to start to generate over $11,000 a month and growing each and every month. That's awesome. I love passive income. Like I always like to say, passive income is amazing. That's what creates real freedom, right? So those are different types of real estate investments. Now you have commodities. Commodities can be like anything I said, gold and silver, oil and gas, and things like that. So for example, you could buy tangible gold and silver. Now you could either store that yourself, or if you have a lot of it, you store it with another institution or something like that where they safeguard it. They'll even put little wax seals around the box and the unit so that they make sure that no one tampers with it. If they do, they know that something's happened, right? So you have things like that where they have more security on your actual commodities. But those things are another way to invest. Now, I also buy things in like oil and gas, but I'll buy the land where they drill the oil and gas. And the great thing is I don't like the speculative stuff, even though you could do that too. I don't like the people that just try to say, well, we're trying to find oil. I like the place that they already found it and they just need money for more wells to go in there. So you pay for the wells and then you get paid the profits and all the returns off the royalties from the money and the resource they pull out of the ground. That's a great way to invest in commodities, especially when there's inflation. Commodities can be a great inflation hedge against, well, inflation, right? And the last one, paper assets. Again, nothing wrong with paper assets. They can be great. This is why we talk about infinite banking, a great place to store money and do stuff. You might even decide to hold some stocks and bonds. For example, I even have a little bit of Bitcoin left. Even though I sold off the bulk of it when I hit about $50,000, I still have some. I bought some of that stuff. Again, I'm gambling with that money. Personally though, I hate the stock market now, even though I used to be have a love affair with the stock market. I was not only a financial advisor, but I was a stock trader. And then I even taught like 200 students how to trade stocks and options because I thought it was so amazing. But you know what I realized? Over time, I started to realize that the people like me, who were also teaching people how to trade stocks and options, and we're doing it ourselves, the funny thing is, they were driving the most beat up, crappy trucks in the world, right? They could barely afford anything because they were always investing in their paper assets, never generating actual income from it. The only income they made was from coaching people, not from the actual investments. And if that were enough, guys, I actually had a client hire me because he said, listen, I teach people how to trade options. And I'm doing it myself, but honestly, I'm tired of working for my money. I actually want real passive income, and the stock market is not passive at all. Even if they tell you it is, I'll tell you, even with my marketing, even though I tell people you can just literally sit behind a computer and make money, he's like, it sucks. I want money coming in where I don't have to work for it. So what did he do? He hired us so he could learn how to do real estate investing, right? And be in other types of asset classes instead. So guys, that's the thing, is again, you can have all these different asset classes, but the cool thing is when you get away from the Wall Street side, right? And you get more into these, these things, especially within these other three asset classes of business, real estate, and commodities, you can actually diversify so much more and have better investments. Now, like I promised, what's my favorite investment? Now, I have different investment favorites at different times, right? I've actually told people before, I love turnkey real estate properties where I can literally have somebody property manage it for me. I don't have to do anything and I get paid checks. By the way, it's great if you want inflation hedge, great place. But with higher interest rates lately, it hasn't been as profitable. So you have to wait longer to make the money. So lately, my favorite place has been lending money because as interest rates have risen, people are now wanting cash. And because in 2022, everybody's saying, don't hold cash, you'll lose to inflation. Everybody got their cash out and locked away, and now they don't have any more cash. So guess what? In March of 22, I realized if everybody's telling me to go and get my cash invested, don't hold cash, I realized when the mainstream tells you something, you do the opposite. That's why I'm the anti-financial advisor, right? I do the opposite because the opposite is usually right. And so what do? I started holding on to cash when everybody said don't hold on to cash. Well, now people want cash. Now I can literally lend my money to other investors and I get paid double-digit returns, usually at least 10 or 12%. I've been offered 15%. I even got offered 18% recently on my money because they said, I need cash and this deal is so good that I'm willing to pay a higher rate for it than having to wait for a bank to approve me for it. And so guys, you can really make a lot more money in these alternative space than you could just having your money sitting in the Wall Street going up or down and hoping that tomorrow you're not going to lose money and then you have to delay your retirement for another 10 or 15 years like my dad had to. Don't get stuck doing that. You can actually do a lot more with better alternative investments. Now again, everybody asks me, well, what one should I do? Situations always vary. I'm not trying to give you investment advice at all. That's my disclaimer here. But I will say this, if you want to see what kind of investments you could be doing, and even better yet, what kind of income can you create from these kind of alternative investments, go to our website, moneyripples.com, go click on our passive income calculator, and when you fill it out completely, it'll give you a number that shows you in about 12 months how much passive income is possible in your own situation. Go try that out right now to see what your number is. If it's over 15,000, we better be talking. So go try that right now.